All right, everybody, welcome to this episode of Optimal You, episode 9. Chatting with Colton, that's your number.
That's my number, boy. That's my number, Joe.
Yeah?
9. 9 in football, 9 in moto. I was actually 3 in basketball, but 3 times 3 is 9, so it's still good.
We get there.
And my birthday is 9/9/88. Wild.
Dang.
I lived on 9 Gatehouse Lane.
Oh my gosh, this is your
When the
episode.
Titans went to the Super Bowl, Steve McNair at the time was like my favorite quarterback, and he's number 9, and I was like, dude, this is so perfect. They're going to win, and then they lost. Anyways,
Dude,
I love it.
It was meant to be.
Though.
I love it
Meant
because
to be, Joe.
that's what this episode is about. So, as most of you can tell already, my guest today is Colton Brockbake. Again, welcome back, Colton. Happy to have you.
Joe, this is 3, dude. I love this. 3 times I get to party with you.
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a lot more coming up.
Second that we actually get to talk together on this differently than the first time, which was actually my favorite episode.
That was good.
Just for the record.
It was a breakthrough for me too. There's a lot of stuff that we talked about that I made a lot of cognitive recognition of different things and happened before in my life and why I am the way I am today. It was really good.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
So today, and why this episode is your episode, I had this idea, and it actually started with the diss tracks, right? Machine Gun Kelly and Eminem. You were really big on it.
So fired up, dude. First of all, I just love hip hop beef.
Yeah.
I don't like when people die, but I love like hip hop drama for some reason is different than anything else to me because I just love rap battles.
It makes good music.
It makes such good music.
Good music.
Dude.
Good news.
Oh,
so from that, I got this thought, right? Like the different ciphers that rappers do, that's their craft in that style of rap, right? They're just there and they're just spitting their game. And I was like, man, we should be doing that. I should be doing that. This is essentially my craft. I'm going to own it. I'm going to say it. I'm going to put that out there in the universe. I should be able to spit game like that of motivation and positivity. The second reason why I wanted to do the episode today with you, I have had guests on the show. Dually, I want to have individuals share their stories. While they may be tough, they are motivating because they've been through, adversity in their lives. And it's awesome to know that if somebody has made through something difficult, you can put yourself in that situation, right? You can put yourself in, I'm going through this. Well, it's not the same. They made it through that, so I can make it through this. And that's great. And I've loved having every single guest that I've had on the show. But I also want to bring content. I want to help people as well. And so today, what I have outlined and suggested for the episode is that you come prepared with a few thoughts, and then I have a few thoughts suggested on mostly motivation, but we'll see where the conversation goes. and I know the conversation's going to go where it's supposed to be directed. Like this episode, I had no idea 9 was your number, and look at you're here.
Well, and the fun thing about you and I together as a dynamic is that our styles are really different, and I like that actually. I actually like that you have.
I'm cholo.
Well, yeah, and I'm very pale, and I like that too.
Yeah. I'm strong,
and I'm really buff.
Nice.
Working out again. It's been a while, Joe. I couldn't have this. Colton, you're looking chubby anymore from any friends, family, wife, nothing. Man, I'm done.
Dirty 30 now, bro. I'm putting that out there.
I know, 30, and my knees are feeling better than ever now than they have in the past like 5 years. So I'm like, dude, it's my year, man. I'm going for it. So anyways, but I like our different styles was the whole point of it. Motivation and, I'm like a wellness coach and ways of healing and that kind of thing, which fits into the same mold. We still rock the same boat, just a different viewpoint on things, which I love. So
yeah. And that's why I wanted you to come in to do this episode with me too, because we have a same shared vision yet our approach, like you said, is individual, unique
Yeah.
for us and who we are. And I love that.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that I want to talk about today, the
It's
thoughts
not
that I
about
have.
how cold it is in your place, is it? Is that's not what you want to
Is
talk
it
about?
cold?
I'm just kidding. I'm just being a pansy right now, dude. I don't know why it's cold in my house, Joe. It's been cold
Man,
all
you want
day.
me to get a sweater for you?
No, just keep going. So if anybody sees RT, I actually have. That's a natural thing. So just keep going. Joe knows.
Everybody has nipples.
I know, but I've got like these. Yeah.
Whoa,
We're not gonna talk
this
about
is
it.
a family show.
Welcome to the Joe
This is
Show.
a family. No, just kidding. Yeah.
Optimal
So-
Joe. You.
Something that I'm really big on is this. I want to say idea. And I'll go with that. This idea that our thoughts are powerful beyond our comprehension. There's a lot of strength within our thoughts, and the first topic that I want to talk about is the power that we have with our thoughts, that we should be aware of the thoughts that are passing through our mind. They say that on average, we have 60 to 70,000 thoughts pass through our mind every day. Think about that.
It's pretty wild.
That is a lot. Now,
Now, how many of those are self-talk thoughts?
exactly
Is that what you were
right.
going to say?
Yeah. What are those thoughts? What are the thoughts that we are putting into our mind? What are we exposing our mind to have thoughts about? But most importantly, which of those are good and which of those are bad? First, that it's so easy to devalue ourselves. We can get into this mindset, in this thought pattern, and we may not even recognize it by putting ourselves down and putting weakness into our mind. And the biggest way that we do this is through past experiences. We make a mistake. We do fall short of our own expectations or others' expectations. We are not able to accomplish a goal, a task, or something that we set out with. And from that moment that happens, we have those thoughts reoccurring after. It's important for us to be conscious of the thoughts that we are putting into our mind.
Sure. I'll even give you another thought on that too, because a lot of the time when people start, especially with the self-talk stuff, they start beating themselves up, things from the past, especially from the past. Something will happen from the past and they'll go, why am I such an idiot? And then they'll come up with thousands of reasons why they're an idiot and why that would happen to them. Of course it would happen to them. And so even more than just the thought itself is actually starts with the question. A lot of our thoughts stem from poor questions we ask ourselves. We're as a race, human race, it's less commonly seen that you ask yourself good questions versus poor questions. That's why self-love, I think, is derived in a harsh way, because a lot of the times the questions we ask ourselves are really hurtful. Really hurtful. Why am I so ugly? Why am I so dumb? Why am I so this? There's tons and tons and tons of, instead of asking things like, why did my dad leave? Or why did this person say this hurtful thing to me? I've come to understand and see, this is a funny thing as I said that, I've come to see that understanding those things is the booby prize of life. It doesn't do you any good.
I like booby prizes.
Yeah, well, a lot of people do. Booby prizes are good. But people look at that as like, if I were to understand why that happened to me, so they come up with all these reasons to validate why it did.
Yes. Yeah. And it's big, right? So, you mentioned past mistakes and maybe some things that other people do, but we try to create a story around that it was something that I did. I was responsible for that, and say it is something like, abuse or neglect or something like that. That's not you. Let's take my situation, right? Like going into foster care. I thought for so long, what is it about me that this happened to me? And that was the story that I carried with myself for so long, which is why I didn't share my story, because I believed maybe that I didn't create that situation, but because that situation happened to me, I was something less. So like you said, I would put a story with something that happened in the past, and I carried that for so long in the forward into the future with me. And it really was limiting for such a long time until I came to the understanding and realization that it doesn't matter what has happened in my past. And lately I've been feeling that, your past is not you. Your past experiences definitely create who you are right now. And I think that's big for people. You need to understand that, right? Your past does not define you. It creates who you are. But more important is who you're going to be tomorrow. And what are you going to do today to create that tomorrow? Move on from that experience. So say like with me in foster care, I could still be holding that inside and not letting releasing myself from that and essentially doing what I'm doing right now, right? Career-wise, launching Optimal You and trying and sharing this positive message with others and using that story as what it was meant to be, as something to build and to strengthen me. And so going back to that original thought, right? Don't devalue yourself because these things happen to us. That is not us.
Right.
And don't tell yourself that. So what I'm trying to stress with this, right, is no matter what happens in your past, to an extent, I believe you're not responsible for your past. It's already happened, right? Let it be,
Yeah.
Whatever happened in your past has happened. What you're responsible from right now in this moment is tomorrow and where you're going to go down the road. And I think that that's so strong. And once people understand this, right, then we can become more conscious of those thoughts that we're putting into our mind. We can stop telling ourselves the story, I'm weak, well, I'm so stupid. I am, by the way, is the two most powerful words because what follows that is really creates who we are.
Totally. Thought on that too. All that you just said with
spitting my
leading
game.
into,
You see this?
I'm loving it, Joe. I'm loving it. So there's a power in taking a look at your past, only to empower you, though.
Yes.
Only to empower you. Exactly what you were just saying. I think there's also a misconception with people that they should just leave their past in the behind type thing and completely leave it behind, right? I mean, that's a Lion King quote.
I was going to say, I know somebody, his name's Simba.
Yeah, right. He just leaves his past in his behind. And
what are you going to do? I'm going to hit you with that stick.
Right. I know who you are. Which that whole, when he comes out and sees Simba, right? And he's like, I know who you are. And that's a really powerful thing for somebody else to see you in your value. This is things even you and I have talked about it with each other.
Yeah.
Is seeing other people for their true value. It's cool to have in that instance with like Simba to see like, look, Rafiki knew Simba's past. He knew what had happened. And even if he thought that like it really was Simba's fault, he's like, look, I know who you are though. Like whatever you've done, I know who you are. And that's exactly what you're saying is like the stuff that's happened in the past isn't you. Take a look at the stuff, turn it over, look at it, take a peek at all the things that's going on there and really get all the lessons that you can learn from it. Hell yeah, dude, you don't want to do certain things that happen to you. You don't want to put people through that. That's a huge, powerful lesson. I can say from my dad, he didn't really have a dad growing up at all. He had like 17 different ones. My grandma got around a little bit. Because of that, and she was actually the sweetest lady on earth, so I don't want to stain it in a poor way. She's one of my favorite people that's ever lived on the planet, hands down. We even have things called Nini-isms after her, but she had a lot of different husbands, and because of that, and guys that she brought around, that it just, my dad's real dad was just not a good dude, to be honest.
Yeah.
And my dad could have totally just been like, screw the world, whatever. I am that pile of dump and all the things
Continued that.
Yeah. I mean, his dad said some crappy things to him. Had he taken it to heart, I would be a completely different person right now, probably.
That's amazing. Kenny B is an awesome guy.
Yeah, he's a good dude. So anyways.
Never would have thought.
Yeah. Take a look. Take a look at your past. Don't leave it there, but move on from it is what you're saying. Is don't
you have to use it.
Yeah, it's
But don't let it use you.
totally.
Yes, because everything that happens, like you said, has happened for a reason in creating who you are
Sure.
today.
It's like
And
a
I
river.
and I guess I don't want to discredit anybody who's been through some difficult shit in their
No,
lives
no,
because
I
you
wasn't
know,
even saying that's what you're
yeah,
saying
no,
either.
but I want to make sure that that's like what I'm saying, right? Like you go through tough times, and guess what? I know that. Take the time that you need to get over those things, but do just that. Get over it, and then put it in your past. Put the story with it, and help it propel you and move you forward.
Yeah.
You so not only
Before you move on,
yeah.
just
No,
so you know,
no, this is on the same topic. But go ahead.
good.
But go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and don't move around it. Go through the hard shit. Do it. Go through it. That's the hardest thing. So go what you were saying.
So I'm on this Conor McGregor kick. He's got this fight this weekend coming up, right? So I've been listening to, and I loved watching his documentary on Netflix. It was awesome. Going into that, my perception and my thoughts of McGregor is he's a cocky SOB. Like this guy is just going out there. He's got a mouth on him. But to hear of his story and what he came up in and worked through to get where he's at, 100%. One of my favorite guys because he is hard work and he is grit and he's dedication to get where he's at. And I believe that there's a point, right, that you can have confidence.
Sure.
And people see that as cockiness because we're like, oh my gosh, this guy's making millions of dollars and look at him running his mouth. Like he's so much more than us at this moment.
Right.
We view that as then this guy's cocky, but that's his confidence. And it's interesting that I say this, but there's like a meekness about it. In my mind, he's earned that right for everything that he's been through. He's put in all of the hours of the work on the mat, right?
That's interesting you use the word meek. I like that. It's interesting.
It is because at a point, right, you think about Muhammad Ali. There's still people, though, who will say he was cocky. But now what do we think of Muhammad Ali? He was
He's
the best.
Greatest of
He's
all
the
time.
greatest of all time.
He's
You
the
know
best
how
ever.
much Muhammad Ali ran his mouth? I was listening to something this morning. Okay.
He was like worse than McGregor. Even.
Yeah,
maybe not
so
quite with the F words and stuff, but
when he was fighting Sonny Lisner, he said, oh man, oh dang it, my phone's over there. I wrote it down, but it was awesome. Give me a second to think about this. He said, oh yeah, if you want to be a fool, bet all your money on Sonny. And he said that just like confident, right? And what he was saying, he was the underdog. He was supposed to lose. Everybody was picking Sonny Lisner to beat him. And he just did not let that thought process go. And he told them, hey, you want to be a fool? Fools, bet your money on Sonny Lisner. I'm going to show you what I do, right? And there's that confidence. And what did he do? He went out there and he won that fight. And I think that's awesome. And I love that saying because it's like, if you want to doubt me, go ahead, doubt me. I'm going to show you.
Yeah.
But with Conor McGregor, so things of the past, right? We should not only leave difficult things in the past, we should leave big and good things in the past. This is one of the quotes that I put on my Facebook as well, right? He said, you stare at your past and you'll end up staying there. And you know, his voice. He said, it's okay to look back and admire it, which we're talking about, right? You can take a look back.
Sure.
He says, but you carry on. I'm not in the business of staring back at it and getting lost back there. That's what happens when we take too much time to revisit the past. We're going to find that we go back there. He said, you sleep on a win and you'll wake up with a loss. Right?
I like that.
The past is the past. We need to use the past, win or loss, adversity or success. If we focus on that too much, we're going to get caught up that. Like with success, right?
Sure.
If we think that we've made it, we're not going to go any further. We get comfortable.
Tiger Woods, one of his best quotes of all time, ironically, as he's starting to do well again, one of my favorite quotes of his is, you know, champions never arrive; they just keep winning. And it's similar mentality. It's similar to what's going on, even with all the athlete things you're talking about right now. Joel Embiid in the NBA, really
the process.
Similar. Yeah, he's the process. I mean, the dude 8 years ago was like not even touching a basketball, and now he's one of the best in the NBA. And he'll still go out on the court with random dudes and just school them and talk smack to them. And I'm like, I remember looking at his stuff and feeling the same way of like McGregor, like, dude, you're one of the best. What are you doing? Why are you talking so big? You know you're going to beat these kids. But he's like, dude, I treat everybody the same. I don't care who you are.
I love that.
I just want you to know, like, I'm still coming at you like I would come at anybody else. And I actually respect that. It's kind of cool. I've looked at it as a way of like, oh, you need to be nicer to people. But it's like, look, my dad did not show me any mercy, man. He never let me beat him in a golf game. He never let me beat him in tennis. I still to this day have never beat my dad in tennis.
Not
ever.
once?
No. So his dad was a tennis pro for Wilson.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
And my dad is freaking good at like a lot of sports. Like I've never beat him in, what's the one where it's against the wall? You hit the ball against the wall.
Oh, racquetball? Yeah.
My dad's freaking good at racquetball, dude. Like he used to win tournaments and stuff, and he was a state champ diver and stuff. Like he has random athlete things that's attached to it. So I'm like, I could beat him in basketball and whatever. And it was like, when I beat him in basketball the first time, I was like, I really beat him. He was never going to let me actually beat him, which it actually
That's
helped
awesome.
me.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. That's good.
Like going on with homeboy this weekend, I can't even remember his name. What's it?
Khabib?
Khabib. So he's going against Khabib.
I didn't mean to say it like with an accent, but
it's all right, Joe. We know you're actually Indian. You get away with whatever you want.
Native American.
Native American. Sorry,
yes.
Chiefs.
This is my land.
Chiefs. Not to be confused with the Redskins, but we won't go into that. But anyways, but with Khabib, he's not backing down either. I mean, he's getting to the point where he's actually getting spiteful because it's frustrating him so bad. They're like, "You gonna shake his hand after?" And he's like, "No, I'm not going to." And he's like, "How come?" And he's like, "I'm just not going to. I'm just not." It's like, dude, these guys are for real. But that's part of why I actually respect Conor McGregor at the end of the day, though, too, is that he actually pays respect back to the people. He's like, look, I am the best. Yeah. Same way that Muhammad Ali was, is like, I'm going to knock you out. You shouldn't even think that you're even close to me. I love you at the end of the day. It's cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to kill you, though, but I love you. And it's like, all right, cool. I like that. I can respect that.
I love that. I love that. Now, so we talked about like this story, right? So right now I'm reading this book called The Happiness Advantage. Way good book. 100% recommend this book to everybody. Listen to me, Colton. Turn your phone off. Throw it over there.
I don't know why it's going off like crazy over here. I'm going to put it on silent.
Yeah. All right. But so I'm going to tell you a story and then I want your reaction. Okay. All right. So, and this goes into the thought of a counterfact, and I'm gonna get. You know what a counterfact is?
Nope. Tell me.
Good. No, not yet. I'm gonna explain it to you.
Oh, Joe,
but first, I want you to tell me what you think of this. Okay. So imagine for a moment that you walk into a bank. There are 50 other people in the bank. A robber walks in and fires his weapon once. You are shot in the right arm. Now, if you were honestly, describing this event to your friends and coworkers the next day, do you describe it as lucky or unlucky?
For me, how would I do it?
Yep, as you.
Dude, it's 1 of 50 and I got shot in the arm. I'm feeling pretty damn lucky. How most people probably would describe it is I was 1 of 50. How did I get that? I got shot in the arm. Out of all the other people that were in there, I'm the only one who got shot, is probably how a lot of people would look at it.
Yeah.
Right?
So Sean Aker, I believe is his name. He shared this with like CEOs and executives. And he says no matter who he tells this through, he gets a 70-30% ratio. 7% claim it is supremely unfortunate. It's an event that's super unfortunate that they got shot, right? Out of 50, I was the one who got shot. Only 30% claim to have been very fortunate with that same exact thought process, right? And it's interesting. Now, a counter thought, and this is where it's going to tie into this story, or a counter fact, is an alternate scenario our brains create to help us evaluate and make sense of what really happened. So when I tell you that story, you immediately create a fact, something that's not true, to evaluate your thought process on that. For you, it was a positive one, right? Like, gosh, I'm fortunate. What if it hit me in the head and I died? What if it hit somebody else and died? What if there were women and children in there and it hit somebody else? I'm glad it hit me in my arm. Nothing else happened. Part of devaluing ourselves. There are so many people out there in that situation. So not only this, but anything that happens in our life, we can tell ourselves different stories to value and to credit how we feel about it. And so you can go down the opposite path, right? Unfortunate, it was me out of 50.
Right.
You know, I'm going to have to take time off of work.
Yeah.
Like, why did that guy walk into the bank that I was in?
Even on top of that, they probably it's the fish story. It's like it gets worse and worse as time goes on. It's like they almost hit me in the head, but I launched my arm up and happened to block it at last second. And it gets worse and worse as time goes on. So,
and here's the crazy thing, right? We tell ourselves these stories and they're not even true.
Sure. Right.
It's based on future scenario that hasn't even happened yet, right?
Right.
So the counterfacts that we tell ourselves, both of them could be true, right? Either one of those situations and scenarios could have completely played out. But counterfacts, they're invented. We actually have the power in any given situation to consciously select a counterfact that makes us feel fortunate rather than helpless. And choosing a positive counterfact, besides simply making us feel better, sets ourselves up for the whole host of benefits to motivation and performance we know accompanies a positive mindset. Right. So if we can retrain these thoughts, if we can retrain how we act in these situations and the perceptions that we have to it, we can create the behaviors that accompany a positive mindset. But on the other hand, he says, choosing a counterfact that makes us more fearful of the adversity actually makes it loom larger than it really is.
So let me ask you a question, Joe. I'm gonna ask you this because this is really good right here.
Yeah,
I love this. And
don't ask me questions about myself.
No, so 70-30. 70-30, this is a big one. I'm not gonna ask you a question about yourself. 70-30 is a big one. That's a huge statistic.
Right.
So why does 70% of people choose into a victim mentality first? What's your opinion? And I've got a thought, but I want your opinion. Why would 70% choose into victim? What's in it for them?
It's the comfortable and the easy way. In my mind, right? Like if we choose, say, the unfortunate scenario, we can play off of that. It's not going to require anything more. We can say, oh, pity me, my situation. And we can look and anticipate for something to change moving forward that's outside of our control rather than us controlling that situation.
I love that because that's the total motivate side of you that you see it. And I'm over here like, what's the real thing, right? The soft stuff.
Can you let me get to the reason behind this?
No. I love it though because I'm such a why person and you're like, move. Yeah. And like, it's easy. Of course you take that route. And I'm over here like, oh, of course they would choose that because there's benefits people get from being a victim. In this case, poor me gets sympathy and pity and all these things, and they all feel like love. They all feel like it. Yeah. So they're like, oh man, I've got a payoff for being a victim. So most people lean on that because it is easier to go that route. Mm-hmm. If they actually owned up to it and were like, man, I did this, then there's probably a higher level of appreciation that gets given to that person, but the fear is that won't happen. Mm-hmm. So they totally soak it up because they're like, oh man, there's something in it for me. I know for sure that I've played the pity game a bunch of times and I like pity because it doesn't really get me what I exactly want, but it gets it close enough and they like settle for it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So anyways,
this reminds me of a quote, and I'm sure you're familiar with this one from the movie Coach Carter. It's in a lot of motivational things, right? It's that, let me pull this up and make sure I've got the right one. I found that oftentimes when I pull up quotes, it doesn't give me the full quote that I'm looking for.
Yeah, it's like a summary of the actual quote.
Yeah. Okay. Let me see if I can remember it because I'm not finding the one that I want to share. It's that our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. And I think it's the same in that situation, right? Because if we take that higher mindset and higher elevation, there's higher action, higher responsibility, higher accountability that's also associated with that.
Totally.
This quote is so powerful because I believe it's oftentimes why people don't act. And
Sure.
and like I mentioned, right? It's easier to play the victim. It's easier to say poor and pity me because there's no light that's required with that. And
Sure.
I'm comparing light to like everything that's higher
Sure.
in this situation.
Well, and it's exactly what you said with the story thing. Is their story, their past, has said that when they do show up, doing the thing that's actually real, right? The real love side of it, the real self-love side of it. Like, man, I'm so fortunate that I didn't die. And it's fortunate for everybody else. They didn't get shot. Not that I want to get shot, but somebody could have got shot in the head and like, I got a flesh wound, dude. I'm sweet. I'm good to go. Plus, it was only a 22, so it's okay.
I want to take a bullet for somebody. You know, if I'm ever in that situation, I hope that my actual thought process is I'm going to jump in front of that bullet because...
Well, Bryce did. Bryce got one in his leg.
Bryce Bringers took a bullet.
But the
that's
story
right.
side of it, once people get into there, the story has told them that if they are them, they will get hurt. And so then they go to...
Safe.
Yeah, I'm safe because my image. So they bump up into their image of what they think it should look like and what it should maybe, what other people would probably want to see. And it's like, oh, if I said it this way, then I come off as arrogant and cocky and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, dude, just say it. It's totally okay. Exactly what you said before. It's okay to be confident. It's okay to be like grateful. It's okay to have belief in yourself. Like, dude, I can handle a shot to the arm. That's totally okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I'm sweet. I almost got shot in the head. What a hell of a shot he missed. He's a terrible shot.
Yeah.
And that's the lucky me there.
I love that. So this is making me think about, right, like what in order to change these thought processes and what we need to do, I think people's perceptions of what they need to be or have is set on false perceptions. So let me ask you
I
this.
agree, just for the record.
Let me ask you this. What do we need to change?
It's a really good question.
In your thought, like and so with this, it is a little bit of a vague question, and I'm trying to get a specific answer, which is a bad interviewing technique. But just simply put, 1 or 2 sentences, what do we need to change?
You're talking about with like a habit like that?
Anything.
Man, what do we need to change?
I know the answer, like it's a funnel, right? It's way big up here, but give me the coned down version, just very simply put.
I would say that change is synonymous with confidence to do something, anything.
Yes.
So there's a recipe for confidence I've learned.
Go ahead and expound.
I'll just tell you this.
Go ahead and expound. Yep, I love this.
So when you're confident, you don't just get confidence. It's not like something that it just appears. It's a byproduct. So there's a recipe to it, and it's the same thing with it's like with faith, right? You gotta have a desire for something and whatever. It's the same thing with whatever. It's like, hey, recognizing that you don't like where you're at is awesome. That's great. You don't like where you're at is awesome, but saying what you don't want doesn't help you. So you have to have some sort of desire for something, for sure.
Yep.
But then it comes down to 3 things. It comes down to you got to have some courage. Have some courage, take a risk, and then see the success from it. Mm-hmm. That's the only way that change actually happens, because then after you see that you have successfully made a change in something in one way, shape, or form, it's the make your bed approach in life. Once you see that you did something, then it's like...
You want to be successful in life? Make your bed in the morning.
Make your bed every day.
Love it.
But it's that approach, though. Yeah. It's like as soon as you see that you've completed something, it's like, oh, man,
one task done.
I can actually do this. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, okay, that's where change really happens.
Yeah.
But it takes a desire, some courage, and, an actual risk to do it.
Yeah.
And then see it through and actually keep going with it. So,
exactly. I love it. And that's so great. Like one of my favorite rappers says, confidence is a stain you can't wipe off. And it's so true. And think of it.
Stain you can't wipe off.
That's way better than what I did. It's compare it to a muscle, right?
Sure.
And I know a few things about muscles. And when you put in the work and when you develop and you grow that muscle, there's going to be a certain strength that you'll have regardless of your situation because of the work that you've put in. And this is what you're describing, right?
Yeah, it's exactly
it's this confidence that you continually work on, you develop, you build. Now, there's a couple of things that you said that I like, right? Because this is so true. So with my question, right, what do we need to change? Oftentimes, people think we need this laundry list of things to change.
Yeah.
And really, that's wrong. People think that their situation needs to be right. You have to have the right timing. I do believe in timing to some sense, right? But people believe they have to wait for the right time. And sometimes they'll put things off for years because they're afraid to move forward. People think that once I get to this level, let's say career or money-wise, right? As soon as I get to this level in my job, in my career, once I get this promotion, then I'll be able to do this. Or as soon as I make this much money, I'll be able then to make these changes in my life, right? So this is the false perception that I believe that people follow, that there are certain things that they need to change. When in essence, you said you need a desire, you need courage, and then you just need to do it.
Yeah, it's literally a state of being instead of just focusing on exactly what you said, the laundry list of like, because that's how most people do it. Mm-hmm. That's why they get stuck, because they're stuck in the mechanics of everything. They're like, well, if I can just figure out all this stuff, and then they get stuck on the other side of it of like, well, maybe I'll win the lottery and then everything will change for me. And it's like, dude, that's not how it works. That's not how it works at all.
Yeah.
It's desire. It's a vision. It's your thought of, I don't like this. I want this. And then that's what actually changes it all. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you, Joe.
So as part of this whole thought process, right? You mentioned first is a desire. So there's, I believe he's a quantum physicist. He's a guy that's really big. His name is Joe Dispenza, and I've been listening to him. I don't know if I've sent you over some stuff on him, but he's awesome. So he told me about him. He's all about this cognitive and this quantum field that's beyond what we have. Beyond the Newtonian world. And the Newtonian world is everything that's physical and predictable. But in science, there's this quantum field that there are things that are beyond predicting and things just happen. Side thought, I believe science and religion connect, and this field is religious. It's the spiritual. It's that higher level of being that we as humans don't understand. One day there will be some enlightenment, and we will draw that connection and bridge between laws of current science as we understand them and those laws of science in the universe that we just don't get, that's higher and above us. But anyway, Joe Dispenza talks about changing that thought process and this pattern, that all we need is an elevated emotion, this desire to change. We can't wait for situations and the perfect scenario or of when we feel ready to make these changes. All we have to do is to have an elevated emotion to act. Now, it's kind of in this whole thought process, right? If I believe this is going to happen, it's going to happen. So before we are wealthy, we need to think, I'm sufficient. I'm happy where I'm at right now. I can find in my situation that I am wealthy. Or let's take relationships, for example. I need to be in this state in order to make my relationship work, to get into a relationship. But we have to understand and realize that you're good right now in order for that relationship to happen.
Right.
Or success, right? If we want success in our life, we can't tell ourselves that it's going to happen at these certain levels. We have to believe that we are successful.
So what you said, there's one word that you said that's like super, super key, that a lot of people lean on that word. And that's why they get so stuck. It's need.
Yes.
I need to, or I should. Mm-hmm. And it's all about what it needs to look like or should look like and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, dude, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. I did that to myself, man. Coming up into 30, I was losing my freaking mind. I'm like, I'm not a billionaire right now. and I've had a really random life. So I'm not where I thought I was going to be at 30, but I didn't even do anything that would have got me to where I even thought I was going to be when I was 30. I don't know why that would even be a thing. I don't know why I ever thought that was how it needed to be, or how I would have ever even got there. Like with success,
what do you mean?
With money and things like that.
Yeah.
It's exactly what you're saying. It's like I was actually really content with where I was at. Based on results, I stayed there. I did what I was doing. I was doing what I actually wanted to do. And I was chasing a dream it was really, really fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it ended, it was like, or when I got it even better yet, it was like, yeah, that's not even what I want. It was really interesting. And then things shifted and things shift and things shift. But I've caught myself so many times being in a place where it's like, oh man, I really need to be this, and it needs to look like this. And oh man, I'm 30. I should already have this and this and this. And I remember it was like the day of my birthday, and I like took a deep breath and I was like, dude, I'm really stoked on where things went. I'm really pumped on it. I'm actually really okay with where I'm at. And then it was literally the next day I was watching something that Gary Vee put out talking about getting into your 30s and being freaked out. And it's like, dude, you're only 30.
Hustle in
you're
your 20s.
so young. Yeah. And he's like, and even if you didn't hustle in your 20s, like you're only 30. Now you can go. Like you partied and you did all the other stuff and you got to travel the world and do the athlete thing and whatever. Right. Yeah. Which was what I did. And it was like, yeah, that was super fun, man. It was super fun. Mm-hmm. And now it's like, cool, man, I've got so much time to go and I'm loving where I'm at. But people get really hung up on need and
it's
should.
This thought process that we should be somewhere, this idea. So interesting concept, right? Oftentimes, and I think we do this as people, right? Is part of this counterfact that we tell ourselves in the positive sense, right? I'm going to start here. By this point in my life, I'm going to be here. And we see it as a straight line when in reality, if you look at any successful person, and you can draw success and put your own definition with that, but I'm talking about the elites of the world, Bezos, Bill Gates, Facebook guy, athletes, famous athletes, LeBron James, if these successful people, their line was not straight. There was something in their lives that happened, good or bad, that led them to where they're at right now. And as people, we see this highlight reel, right? We don't see all of the behind the scenes things where that straight line is squiggly.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not even just
all
one
over
thing.
The place.
It's like several awful things.
Yeah.
They're really good with failure. They're really good. So I actually just wrote a big thing on my buddy Jason Harwood. I wrote it today. He's one of the best at failure I've ever met. The dude doesn't believe in failure, which I love.
Nice.
One of my favorite quotes from Tony Robbins is, failure isn't even real. The only thing that's real is results. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, great. And so
I want to come back to failure when you're done with this thought.
Yeah, no. So, but the thought that we shouldn't fail really is a competition mindset that it's like, no, I've got to win, but really it's not that I've got to win, it's I've got to win first. And that's what people actually bring into failure. It's not really about being successful. It's like I'm comparing myself to other people. That's really all it comes down to. Mm-hmm. And if they hadn't, then it's like, okay, I'm not there yet. I'm just still going. And when they get there, then they'll probably see that they're not even exactly where they want to be still, because they're in that same mindset still, that it's like, yeah, I got to where I was. I actually want to be over here. This would be really cool. Oh, I got over there. Now it's like, okay, now I'm going to go over here. But there's a ton. What you're saying is that there is a lot of downs with the ups.
Oh, yeah.
Tons of downs. And even the best of the best. People are ripping apart Donald Trump right now because they're like, oh, he's had so many failures. And it's like, yeah, of course he has. So has everybody. Michael Jordan talks all the time.
You remember how his career started?
Oh, dude. Dude couldn't even make the high school team.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it's awesome. Anyways, that's...
Yeah, there's so many of them. This story.
So
I love this, right? No. It's this topic of adversity.
Sure.
Right? Adversity and failure. But first, right, you say... Jason doesn't believe in failure, and I don't either, but I believe that there is one form of failure. And failure is inaction. Failure is when you do not move forward. Failure is not trying and falling short. That's a lesson. Right. There's something to be learned from that. Failure is you do something, you fall short, you don't do anything. You don't move forward. Totally. You wallow in that and you stop moving forward. That 100% is failure. You failed at that point. Sure. But if you keep trying things like Harvard, right? Like I totally agree with this 100%. There are going to be times when you do things and they don't work out. There are going to be doors shut in your face. There are going to be obstacles that you're going to have to go around. And this is where, right, people do not see adversity. People do not see adversity in these successful people's lives. And they think, why am I having to go through this? Right. What is the reason behind this? Interesting. Jeff Applebaum. So I love Jeff. I put a couple. I hope Jeff listens. I'm giving him a shout out here. But nice. I posted this quote. Let's see if I can find it real fast. It was from dude. Do it, bro. I'm keep going. You know, next time we do this call, you bring your laptop, you bring your books, you do what you need, because that's what I want this to be about. All right, so. With adversity, right? When we fail is when we don't find that path upwards. When we stop and we stop taking action, we let those roadblocks halt our action. That's in my mind a failure. So when people say like, I don't believe in failure, I agree. If we continue moving, there's no such thing as a failure. Totally. But if that momentum and that motion stops, that you know what, that is the ultimate worst.
It's pretty much as good as death. Yeah. Honestly. Exactly. Inaction's just death.
Yeah. So. Yep. So with adversity, right, there's a reason for that. And I mentioned Jeff. So I put this quote on my Instagram story. I'll just, take a picture of the book and put it on my story, share it with other people. And surprising, I haven't really been connected or, talked to Jeff that much. And it was interesting that he reached out and he shared this thought with me. He said, I love it. He's like, I love people who preach about adversity. He said so many times people want to brush it off and don't even want to mention it. And he's like, I'm happy you shared that quote. And I was like, that's awesome. And I didn't even think about it, right? With a positive mindset, so often people do that. They push adversity. They push hard things to the side. They don't even look at them. When those adversities are what has created all of these elite, successful people. That's how ourselves, we're going to get to that elite status. I definitely believe that we need to go through adversity. Yeah. Now, it says when some people meet adversity, and I think this is that 70%, right? We talked about this ratio, 70-30. When some people meet adversity, they simply stop looking for ways to turn failures into opportunities or negatives into positives. That's a failure. Others, the most successful among us, know that it's not the adversity itself, but what we do with it that determines our fate. Some will sit helpless while others gather their wits, capitalize on their strengths, and forge ahead. So again, right, that positive, negative mindset, how we see, perceive, and move forward with these adverse situations in our life is definitely going to make us either a failure, not taking action, or moving forward, taking that adversity and letting it build us up, right? Like what we've been talking about tonight. The past is not you. It's what you do from this moment moving forward.
And if you really, I like how Jeff called that out too. And he's like, hell yeah, people avoid talking about it. And because especially on social media, everything's just pretty and beautiful. Yeah. That's one of the reasons I am grateful for my wife, dude. She is
pretty.
Well, she's really pretty. She does all the pretty stuff. But she also is not afraid to talk about stuff that in times past, I'm like, dude, you don't need to talk about the negatives. And she's like, why the hell not? And I'm like, okay, you're right. Do whatever you want. And I've actually really appreciated that. But one of the things I've really found valuable from looking at adversity period, or looking at failures period, or loss, or your past in and of itself, is that's exactly the number one, you know that you can get through it because you already have.
Yeah.
And number two, when you look at adversity in a positive mindset, or you look at your past in a positive mindset, and you actually look at it and go through it, it's the same way that you're talking about with your muscle thing. If you skirt around your workout and you like hop on the bench thing and you're like, you know, kind of pushing up the bench machine there like a couple times, and you're like, dude, I went to the gym today.
Yeah.
There's a difference between having hard things in life and actually going through the hard things in life.
Yeah.
So skirting things doesn't help you in life at all.
Skirt.
Yeah. Skirt. And you can't skirt around adversity. You got to go through the adversity.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people will pray, you know, for really big things, and then things will happen.
Yeah.
And they're like, dude, no. I asked for all these miracles, and I'm getting all this hard crap. And it's like, yeah, how do you think you're going to get there without doing A, B, C, D, E, F before you get to G?
Yep.
Like, you got to do this stuff first. The miracles will come, but that's one thing that I really admire about people that are successful, is that they don't look for a lottery ticket. They don't wait for the miracle to happen. Miracles do happen, and it comes from you actually doing work. That's the way, in my opinion, the way that God works is that he puts things there for you. He puts obstacles there for you to hurdle, to go through, to have things to step on, so that and the other side of it, it's like, dude, I can handle it. It's the same way. It's the butterfly story, which we can talk about another time. I don't know if you're familiar with the butterfly story. You ever
Is
heard
this like the butterfly effect, or is this different?
No, butterfly story. I'll be brief. I'll just be really quick.
Don't tell it,
Just
dude.
say, okay, yeah, we'll go quick here, because I've got about 10 minutes before I got to jam.
No,
I love you.
Can't.
I
do.
I got to, because I love Casey. I got to get there.
Casey Burke, you wait. Colton's mine right now.
I already told him 7:45. I got to be there 7:45. I'm a man of my word now, Joe. So, but the butterfly story, essentially, and I'll be really brief with it.
Yeah.
Is a man is sitting one day, and he's watching a butterfly as it's emerging from its cocoon, and he's waiting for hours and hours and hours, and watching him just slowly emerge. And as he gets what it looks like as far as he can go, it just stops. The butterfly stops, and he's like, oh, the guy's just waiting for hours and no movement. So the guy in his goodwill goes and grabs a little X-Acto knife and helps cut a little slit in the cocoon for him so that it can emerge, right?
Yes.
And so then the butterfly emerges out, and it's got this shriveled body and shriveled wings, and the guy's just waiting, and it just finally falls to the ground, and it's done. And it was done, and he's just like, what in the crap? And the guy in his goodwill and what he was trying to do was give him a hand, trying to help him.
Yeah.
We do that in life a lot with people.
Oh, yeah.
But really, what he missed out on is that struggle, all the stuff that was going on for them, the hours and hours and hours of like being stuck in one spot, even that one really, really hard one that you're talking about, the big fail.
Yeah.
Is God's way of forcing fluid into the butterfly's wings so that the second it emerges, it's ready for flight. It's ready to go. It's never even flown, but it can do it. It's got all the power in the world there. And, a lot of times we pray for things to happen, and we're given adversity. We pray for love, and we're given people to take care of. And, all the opposites of what it is that we want.
Quote?
No.
Dude, this is, I read something very similar to this.
But
this is
it
awesome.
was something my dad shared with me years ago, and I've always loved that story. It's always been something that's hit me, because I'm like,
it's so true.
I can do it. I can do it. I had this rock in my room that said, I can do hard things, as it's on a rock, right? So it's like, yeah, you're hard. That's cool. Not to be, anyways.
I'll write that on my abs.
Yeah.
Rock hard.
I can do hard things.
So interesting that you mentioned God. You mentioned this principle that we receive things that are tough, challenging, and difficult in our life. So let me drop this knowledge on you right here.
I'm ready for it.
A couple more thoughts, and then we'll we'll let you go to dinner, I guess, with Casey. But
and my
so
wife, she doesn't want to be there home alone.
so oh, is he going to your house?
Yeah.
Okay. So see if you know who said this. I'm gonna
Oh
see
my
if you know
gosh,
this.
I don't like quizzes.
Often the deep valleys of our present will be understood only by looking back on them from the mountains of our future experience. Often we can't see the Lord's hand in our lives until long after trials have passed. Often, the most difficult times of our lives are essential building blocks that form the foundation of our character and pave the way to future opportunity, understanding, and happiness.
Is that Holland?
No, it's
No.
the German.
It's just Uchtdorf.
The
You said it off the
Deutsch.
bat, so I was like, maybe it's not Uchtdorf because you already said it. So
Did I?
It's got to be. Well, you said it. It sounds like Uchtdorf, and then you were sharing a quote, and so I'm like, well, it's probably not Uchtdorf.
That's funny.
That's really funny. I should have just said Uchtdorf. That's who I thought it was because you said it all right off the bat.
I forgot.
And it's okay that I'm off. I'm totally okay with
Right.
not getting things
It was
right.
a good guessing game, but right, that's essentially what you're
Yeah,
saying, right?
that's it.
We don't know what this is doing for us, other than there will be some point. I want to remove like the religious. I don't want to turn anybody off, right? Anything hard that we go through in life, at some point, there will be a moment where we understand why that happened. Only if we continue to move forward through it and to make it through, it will strengthen us. It will build that character of who we are.
Sure.
Like we need to pass through that, which is why when Jeff said that, it just made me start thinking about all these things, right? With all the successful people, you ask any of them, it's the difficult times in life that made them succeed in who they are today. And that perception, right, that I'm going to go through my 20s, I'm going to be successful at my 30s. If you didn't go through any difficult shit, that's not going to happen.
Probably not.
It's probably not going to happen. I'm 100% of a believer that everybody has adversity in their lives, and we need to go through tough times in order to succeed and to grow.
I'm with you, Joe.
What other thoughts do you have, or are you just ready to get out of here and eat some dinner?
No, I've got another thought here.
Do it. Remember, it's only like a 10-minute drive home, so
I know
you can
he's
leave.
calling me and texting me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna answer right now. Okay, so when you see this, you'll know why, son.
I'm
But
not
I
scared of
got like
Casey.
7 minutes.
I'll beat him up.
He's a big dude. He's gotten big. And he's
Yeah.
also not been in the gym as much as he should. So get in the gym, Casey. That's where I saw him.
So
I'm just
future
kidding.
topic of conversation is going to be the gym because I love the gym.
Nice.
But how lessons?
I'm excited to
in the
talk about
gym-
some really controversial things.
Oh, is this what you're bringing up? Okay,
Nope.
before
No, we're
oh,
not
I was
going
like,
to. We're
I
not
was
going
like,
to.
I was like, before you do, I got a good thought,
no,
and I don't
no.
want to detract the good messages that we're sharing. here.
No, and it's not even. See, that's the difference, Joe. I'm looking at a different light, son.
Well, not like
I like controversial things because it's the same way with the adversity side of it. Controversial
can't-
issues are, but the issue that comes down to it at the end of
let's
the day.
smoke weed.
No, we're gonna go
I'm
on
all
that
for
thing.
controversial thing. No, I'm just kidding.
but at the end of the day, the controversial stuff comes down to people deciding what's right and what's wrong. I don't really care if it's right or wrong. That doesn't matter to me. I think that that's an invalid argument. Fine, you can be right and I can be wrong if that's what you want. I don't really care. I'm still going to have my opinion I'm going to have. But what I love about controversial issues going into the same thing with this is that that's a lot of the reason that people do feel like they failed is that they did something wrong. And that's a lot of the reason that their past gets stuck the way it is that they did something wrong. It's not about right or wrong. It's just taking a look at things and recognizing like this stuff isn't, I don't like that. That doesn't work for me. And this over here, I like this. That's where I want to be. That works for me. That's what it's all about. And when we recognize like, hey, I don't like this. I don't like this, and I'm going this way from now on and clearing out. That's the whole reason I'm going both sides is because I'm going right through the center of it. Yeah. I'm going this way. A lot of times people are thinking that when they make a change in life, they have to differentiate their angle going a completely different place. And it's like, no. you go right through the center of it, man. It's a tough thing. Sometimes you have to distance yourself from people, situations, work, whatever it is, in order to get to something else. And that doesn't mean that you have to leave town, flee the scene and all that kind of stuff. It's like, look, it could be as simple as just choosing something different. Just make a different choice, but actually see that you actually have other choices. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day, is that you feel like you failed, you feel like you're done and you're lost. I mean, I've been talking to some people the last couple of days about they're doing some stuff with suicide prevention things. And I get to go and speak to schools every once in a bit about it. And I love it.
That's awesome.
And at the end of the day, people don't see that they have choices, and they do. You've always got another choice. You always have a choice, always. Yeah. And especially in this situation, talking about hard things, adversity, failures, past, all that kind of stuff, you've got a choice for the future. You've got something. Yeah. So
I want to revisit that 70-30 rule, right?
Cool.
Because, well, it's not necessarily a rule. Those were just percentages that were given, but I believe it should be a rule. What Jeff was saying to me in, the message to me on Instagram, and what you're saying right now is completely true, right? Sometimes we want to put things that are uncomfortable, out of our comfort zone aside, not even focus on them. And that's what Jeff was saying, right? Too many people focus so much on positivity, but they don't bring in adversity. Right. I think with 70-30, 70% of our lives have to be positive, but we need to recognize and understand that 30% probably should be negative, bad, difficult, outside of our comfort zone. Sure. Because without a balance of both of those, that scale is not going to be right? We can focus on so many good things and push all the bad things to side. That's not going to benefit us. That's not going to get us anywhere. We can focus on only the topics that are not controversial, and that's going to play the same effect, right? There's going to be some sheltering there.
Right.
There's not going to be this exposure that we need to go through everything like you're saying. And so, I completely agree. Controversy. Bring in controversy. We'll
talk about it. It's going to be some good stuff. I'm just going to even give a spoiler. We're going to talk about some Kavanaugh things, but not about the actual Kavanaugh situation. I want to talk about that situation.
Okay.
In a different light, and talking
Let's
about
what's actually... Cancel dinner. Let's do it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. We're going to talk about things that are most important from that. It's the good, better, best situation. There's good things that work. There's some better situations. There's a best case scenario that could come from things. And it's not about right or wrong again. I love the good, better, best idea. So we'll talk about that another time, but all right. I'll let you finish this out. Just know I've loved this. This is totally different than I thought it was going to be.
This is good, huh?
And I was like, no, that's not fun. Let's get into the dirt really quick. But we did. It was fun. We got into dirty things. I like hard stuff, Joe. I don't like being in fluff. I like hard shit.
Oh yeah.
So I like this.
This was good. I've just had a smile on my face this whole time because the conversation is awesome. I've had a few thoughts and it's been awesome. When I put these thoughts together, I didn't link them, but somehow they linked perfectly through our conversation. I've actually got through most of the things that I've put down here on my little note sheet of everything that I've wanted to talk about. So let me wrap up with this quote by old Teddy Roosevelt of the Rough Riders. It says, I'm on Google here. And then I want you to share about your consulting.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And then we're done. And then you can go to dinner with the selfish Casey Burke, who's cutting our podcast short.
I love how he keeps ripping you, Casey. I hope you watch this, man.
Tell them about it.
That's right.
Tell your friends.
Casey, I'm going to be late. Just so you know, I'm already going to be late.
See, I'm already making some controversy with you, Casey, me. Okay. So here's a quote by Theodore Roosevelt. And this is the last thought that I want to leave with everybody listening here today. If there's something that you get from this, let this thought be what you take with you. And it's about this whole concept of failure, right? And action. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows, in the end, the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat.
Like it, Joe. Good quote.
So good, huh?
I love how much you love
Powerful.
quotes, dude. I love it. I
Oh
like quotes.
man, I've got a bank.
I know you do.
Tell us about Brock Bank Consulting. That's not
I'll
the
be
name
brief.
of it.
It is technically, that's what the LLC is called, is Brock Bank Consulting
Boom.
LLC. So
I just created that. Give me credit.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's been around for like a little
I just
over
said
a
it here
year
on the
or so,
podcast.
but-
I don't know if anybody else has heard of it, but I just said that.
I made my first blog spot of it today, so technically it's
Weird. I never
right
heard
on
of
the
it.
same. Yeah. So I was calling this system the friend, right? And I did it with just teens for a long time, but
Oh, Craigslist.
yeah, Craigslist. I was trying to making me
Man.
sound really bad right now, like
Man
a pedophile.
seeking man.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. All
You're
right.
saying man seeking boy because I just
Oh,
said
yeah.
teenagers. Don't say that.
Oh, jeez.
So I've been doing
I
it-
said man.
I was
Man
doing
seeking
teen
man.
mentoring
We
for a
are
long
men
time. Yeah,
seeking men. Have you ever seen Horrible Bosses? All
That
right.
is funny.
I'm funny. Okay. go
So
ahead.
you are funny. So, anyways, Brock Bank Consulting. What I'm doing is I just want to help people get through the crap. That's what I want to do. So, a lot of people that are stuck in life, they don't really know why they're stuck. I'm there to help people figure out what it is that's helping them in that spot, whatever's going on. Whether you think it's a big thing or a little thing, it doesn't really matter. If you're stuck emotionally, if you're stuck with relationships, if you're stuck with family things, if you're which is also relationships tied in there as well. If you're stuck with financial things, if you're stuck with a sport that you like or a hobby or whatever it is that you do, if you're stuck at a certain spot, there's probably a pattern holding you back from getting there. There's habits you've got. There's blind spots. I want to help people figure out what's going on, what's blocking them. And I'm really into it. I like it a lot.
Yes.
It's a passion of mine. And I've had some really great mentors over the last year or so that have become some of my best friends that have really helped me to recognize how to use this strength. So that's what I'm doing. So
That's awesome.
I'm helping out with adults, couples, teens, do it all, man. So
If somebody's interested in this, how do they find you? How do they sign up? How do they contact you?
yeah, find me. You can email me at brockbankconsulting@gmail.com, or you can even find me on Instagram at Colton Brockbank. Find me on there. Talk to Joe. Text me, whatever, man. Whatever it is. Find me on Facebook, Colton Brockbank. I've got a Facebook coach page as well on there. So
Nice.
I don't really use it. I kind of just send whatever I've got on my Instagram on there. But they're welcome to message me wherever they want. Get a hold of me.
Nice.
Come talk to me. I want to help you. I
Yeah.
want to assist you in your life and get you through all your crap. I like the
love
hard
it.
stuff, man. So
We're
bring
just
it.
creating optimal lives
Bring it.
out there. Optimal use.
Bring it.
Use. All right. Hey, Colt, this episode has been awesome. Thanks for coming and sharing your thoughts. I've loved it. I've enjoyed the conversation that we had, and I hope that you guys out there have enjoyed the conversation as well. Now, I know we keep saying, "Oh, we're gonna end." Real fast though, on your story, your buddy Jason, you were telling him to go on a podcast and share his success story. If your buddy's interested, if Jason's interested, love to have him on Optimal You, because really, that is neat how he is living his optimal life right now.
Yeah.
I'd love to jump in and hear how he's created this success. As you've mentioned, doesn't believe in failure. I'm sure he's had
Dude, he's
instances.
a high school dropout to millionaire. I
This
mean,
is-
it's
yeah.
really cool.
This is
So-
crazy. So
we'll have him
invitation,
on. I'm just going to say it right
invitation
now.
to Jason
He's
to
coming.
figure out
Maybe even next week.
how I would love that.
Okay.
I would love that to hear his story of how
Yeah.
he's living his optimal life. Colt, thank
Yeah.
you everybody
Joe,
for
I
listening
gotta go.
today. We will put up information where you can get Brock Bank Consulting. You can
Yep.
catch up with Colton so he can help you.
And subscribe here.
With
Hit the
these
like
patterns.
button. Share it with your peeps, man. There's people that want to hear this stuff. Joe knows his stuff.
good.
There's some good quotes in here. There's some nuggets.
Spit your
and
game,
there's a
talk
lot
your
of love from this dude. So send them over here. I'm going to tell you right now, there isn't another podcast that's going to create more motivation, healing, all the love in the world that's coming up here soon.
Suck it, Joe Rogan.
Yeah,
Suck
whatever,
it, Tom
man.
Bailu.
We got this. Anyways,
You guys
I love
ain't
you.
nothing. All right. Thanks, Colt. Take
Love
care. Enjoy dinner. Bye, everybody.